Hi, I'm Anushka, mum to my 1-year-old son, and I usually review a number of children's books, both fiction and non-fiction. But today I thought I would review another book that I've been reading, which is for myself. It's a non-fiction book called The Book of Boundaries: Set the Limits That Will Set You Free by Melissa Urban, a co-founder of the Whole 30. So the Whole 30 program is more around nutrition and healthy lifestyle, touches on weight loss, things like that. But this book on boundaries is one that she wrote because she became known as the boundary lady, as she was helping her clients set boundaries in their life around the way they engage with food, alcohol, setting boundaries with friends and family around holidays and events like that. She became very good at teaching people how to set boundaries, and she ended up writing this book. I'm just going to touch on two of the main concepts that I got out of this book that I think are useful. The first one is, when you set a boundary with someone, it is kind to be clear. So be as kind and clear as possible. Being vague or avoiding the real reason, or trying to just change the subject, opens up room for them to, one, suggest solutions to what they perceive to be a problem in doing the issue that you're trying to set a boundary with, and two, leaves room for them to question your reason. So being as kind and clear as possible is the best way to go in trying to set this boundary. To use the least amount of force possible initially. So she has like a traffic light system going, what is green, yellow, red. If someone is trying to set a boundary around like, I guess, alcohol, for example, initially if someone's like offering you a drink, you could be like, no thanks, I'm not drinking right now. And that could be maybe a more acceptable way for you to feel comfortable stating your boundary of like, no, I'm not drinking right now, without them then questioning. If you say I'm not drinking, it's like, oh, why aren't you drinking? Or it could be an easier way for you to introduce your boundary of saying, no, I'm not drinking right now. For some reason, the right now makes it feel more acceptable for people to feel, I'm not drinking right now, but I might be drinking later. And the reason this is more acceptable is that when you state a boundary like that, it makes people then reflect on their own choices, which is to drink, and makes them feel that you could be judging their choices, or they are internally judging their own choices. When we talk about drinking or eating sugar, we say things like, oh, I'm going to be good today, I'm not having any pancakes, or I'm going to be bad, I'm going to have another dessert. And we inherently view these choices as being good or bad. And this is very deep-seated in our psyche. So when you put across your choice of being good and you say, I am not drinking, or I'm not having pancakes, I'm not eating sugar anymore, this makes people then reflect on their own choice to be bad, and then makes them feel judged and uncomfortable with the knowledge that they are choosing something different that is bad for them. And it's like, are you a holier than thou person? And so, phrasing of your green light statement is really important, to use the least amount of force possible to enforce a boundary. It's like, oh, no thank you, I'm not drinking right now. Or, no thanks, I'm not eating sugar right now. Like, I don't feel comfortable, it's not good for my health, and I have a bad reaction to eating pancakes or sugar or carbs or whatever it is. It could be something around like relationships with family, where you're trying to establish a green boundary. And the first statement can always be the lightest, to try and enforce the boundary. And it's only when someone pushes back on that boundary that you may step up to the orange level, which is, no, I'm not drinking right now, and I would appreciate if you stop asking me, as this is something I'm not interested in doing. And then your red light one would be to enforce that boundary, which is just to leave the situation, to walk away. And sometimes that's really hard, because like, you may be enjoying the interaction, you may be enjoying the event you're at, or other people there, and yet you have to enforce that boundary for yourself, which means leaving the situation, if people are not willing to respect your boundary. And that's easier said than done. So I really liked this book because, it talks about this traffic light system, and I think I maybe sometimes often jump to the red light one, which is my flight or fright response. Fight or flight response, which I panic that people are violating a boundary, and so then I jump straight to that. So this has been really useful for me to think about, oh, let me use the least amount of force possible to enforce this boundary initially, and if they continue not to respect it, then I will step up to an orange and then a red. So this is something I'm still working on. The other aspect of it is being kind or clear. So I think I am probably very clear, and in terms of being kind, like, I think sometimes people are really not aware of what other people's boundaries could be, and I can probably come across as being very direct and clear in what I'm saying. So I'm trying to work on saying it a bit more gently as well as being clear, which is a fine art, I think. And Melissa Urban has obviously mastered it very well, but even she gives an example of where she or in one point in her book, she has gone to visit her sister, and she was hoping that they could go to the beach in the morning, and her sister said, can we go, I've had a long week at work, can we go after I wake up? So she was like, oh, okay, a bit disappointed, but I'm only here for a weekend, I thought you'd want to make the most of this time. And then her sister ends up waking up at 11 o'clock in the morning, which is 5 hours after her son, very active toddler, woke up, and they missed half the morning. And it's really interesting to read about the way that she responded to her sister, and the way that her sister enforced that boundary, and spoke about her own needs. It's like, actually, I really needed to sleep in, and now I'm active and ready to go and happy to be an amazing aunt to your child, but I needed the sleep in for myself because I've had a very busy week at work. And I think sometimes we think so much about others' needs and willing to you know compromise our own needs to meet theirs, that it can then build resentment down the line. So I think this example for me was really powerful in how to honor your own needs and set your own boundaries based on that, while still being kind and clear and gentle with others. So I hope you enjoyed this book. I got a lot out of it. If you do read it, let me know what you think. Thank you.